So, Facebook friend of mine, Scott, he wanted to know what my feelings were about an article that I will leave in the description box a link to, because, I want you guys to be able to follow along with me. You don't have to watch this video. This is just going to be quickly my feelings on this article. It's 10 futurist phrases and terms that are complete bullshit. So the first one is transcendence. I don't feel like when human beings get digitized in any way that they are transcending in that sense, or like I feel like Bones from the original Star Trek, I would not step into a teleporter. Something that disassembled me and then tried to reassemble me somewhere else. I would feel like that's death, and that's a clone. Kind of like the Outer Limits balancing the equation. So I kind of get how transcendence is a term that misleads a lot of people who haven't ever watched The Outer Limits or haven't watched a lot of sci-fi, and it really speaks to a lot of people who have a lot of theistic beliefs and superstitions. So I will agree that transcendence is something that maybe if we're talking about the future in a sense where we're not trying to entertain people and we're actually trying to have a serious conversation, maybe we need to get rid of that word. So I'll agree with that one. Okay, number 2, the singularity. It says Werner Vinge co-opted this term from cosmology as a way to describe a blind spot in our predictive thinking, or more specifically, in our ability to predict what will happen after the advent of a greater than human machine intelligence. And if we were to go off of the article's lineage of where this term became used by futurists, I would say, yeah, the term used that way is bullshit. But I actually first heard the term outside of the, black holes and cosmology. I heard it from Ray Kurzweil. And the way that he uses it, it's the point at which, even if we wanted to stop the progress of technology, if one country decided, oh, hey, wait, we're about to go off the deep end here, some other country would keep going. And it's the point where even if you wanted to stop technology from completely revamping our lives, quicker and quicker and quicker, you can't. Okay? It's when technology's progress starts making its own progress. And that's it's more of using the cosmology analogy. It's using the whole event horizon. Once you cross it, you're going to end up inside the black hole no matter what you do. Once you cross that certain point and that gravity's got you and you don't have enough energy to break the pull of that gravity, and you're not on a course to just be bent on your trajectory and you're headed towards that black hole, once you cross the event horizon, you're doomed. You're going to have whatever happens to you when you get to the center of a black hole. So, that's why Kurzweil used the term singularity. It's this point in the future where we cannot return from once we get past a certain point if we're not careful. And in that sense, I think the term singularity should continue to be used by futurists, at least by Kurzweil, and those who have followed that sort of lineage of futurism. Technology will save the future. I hate people who think that way, but I don't really see the term being used a lot. Where did this term come from other than this article? I mean, it's an idea, but I don't see it as like a term on par with singularity and transcendence. It's like you just pulled this out of your ass to complete your list, which is, I as a writer know the power of lists on the internet, and this guy is failing because the writer put all of his things in one web page, and you get a lot more money if you have every bullet on the list on a separate page where people have to click continue, and then you can have ads repopulate. At least that's how I would make money if with a list. If I were making a list just for the purpose of having a list, which it seems he did, because he's using technology will save the future as a term. There's many terms in there, and I don't see that phrase being spoken so much that you need to list it this way. It does. I'm not hearing it from those people that piss me off the most, and I pay a lot of attention to the people that piss me off. So, will is a term. It's I'll give him that one in the way that he's saying that we should probably use a word like can or could happen. Immortality, I don't see it being used as a term by futurists in the way that this article seems to be getting at. So no, I'd say immortality. I'd say keep it, especially when the futurists are looking for things that would stave off biological death to the point, the cessation of aging. They're talking about exactly that topic. They're not like misusing the term. That's what their goal is. So, no. Maybe they could misuse the term by saying that this will create immortality when it will only be an extension of life, but yeah, I think that getting rid of the term is just pointless, especially when a new term would just pop up to take its place, a new euphemism for that, like undeath, not dying, whatever you want to call it. Disruptive. I don't hear it used a lot, and I've been inundated with a lot of different futurists since I went to go see Kurzweil speak at CU Pueblo. So yeah, I haven't seen it being used to the point where we need to get rid of it. Future shock. I haven't seen it being used in an annoying way, but I will agree that the term itself seems stupid on its face. And if people bought into some theory of future shock as like something that was keeping people from learning things that weren't inherent with like say cell phone progression or something. Yeah, I think there's other things that can explain things away other than just a general melees of future shock. So that term, although I haven't seen it used a lot, I can see myself getting sick of it really quick if somebody were to use it a lot. Moore's law, and the first sentence in his paragraph about this is nope, not a law. Um, well, it's been called law, and I understand why you would be attacking it being called a law instead of like Moore's observation. But getting rid of the term won't do anything good for us because it is an an observable phenomenon that we want to talk about. So no, I would not get rid of that term or uh, have people, pressured into getting rid of the term. Maybe on your own you could say Moore's observation of the doubling of the amount of semiconductors that you can have in the same amount of space in every few years. Yeah, but I'd rather just say Moore's law and be done with it. Um, I'm sure that there's a lot of things that are called laws that don't fit our definition of law, given whatever definition we're using, but everyone knows what it means. And it's silly to say that because some people are using it um, poorly because they're trying to use it as a barometer of uh, better things to happen in our future when we've had stagnation in economies uh, in the face of Moore's law taking off to, you know, logarithmic proportions. Yeah, just because they're using it wrong when they're trying to predict how well we're going to do with our GDP doesn't mean that the observation isn't there. And that observation is what got the name, not the application by other people of the name. You know? Keep that one. The robot apocalypse. I actually don't see that term at all used. I see zombie apocalypse used a lot, and I think it's funny most times when people say it, but I understand the resentment on a level of so many movies showing AI as turning into something that it's going to turn against humans. There's Battlestar Galactica with the Cylons. There's the whole Terminator movie franchise. There's all sorts of things like that. But I think that's just a theme because people like to be scared of the things that they don't understand. And movies just are there to entertain people. Outside of entertainment, I don't see a lot of people, banding together in groups to be against robotics. There are no anti-robotics activists that I know of since the Unabomber, who, unlike most other things, I'm pretty sure that guy was acting alone because he was a kook, and there's no like conspiracy to it. That guy was genuinely like there's verifiable evidence that he was acting alone and he was a kook and lived out in the woods. And the whole theme of what he was doing over decades was anti-robotics themed. Besides reading his manifesto, which you can find online anywhere, find some websites about him and look at the letters that he sent and then look at the addresses, the return addresses. They always have like nature words in the addresses. They were fake, but they were always like compound nature words like wood and leaf. So yeah, besides him, I don't see this huge movement based on let's make all of our furniture be wooden and not formica. You know, let's make all of our homes be solar powered and independent. You know, well, I guess they're survivalists, but they're not exactly anti-robot. You know, if there was some robotic thing that would help them make it through zombie apocalypse, which is something I do hear about a lot, then yeah, they would want to have that robotic thing. Hell, if there was a zombie killing robot dog, there'd be a market for that thing to be bought by a whole bunch of people. So I don't think we should make a rule about this term, the robot apocalypse, because I don't see it being used too much. But I do think that the idea maybe is being pushed by Hollywood a bit too much. And it's not that I think that it's an invalid thing for them to play on, because they always play on people's fears of the unknown. I think that maybe they should strive for more original ideas and plot lines. Last one, the end of humanity. I don't see it being used as a term a lot, but I wouldn't recognize it as an overused term. Just the way that it conveys this concept that, like, you could apply to so many things. I do think that most all climate change rhetoric seems to point to how it's hopeless. And it wouldn't even matter if we all cleaned up our acts and tried to use as little carbon as possible. We were already on the downward spiral, and we're going to live on in a hell on earth and whatnot. And I hear a lot of gloom and doom about the end of humanity in that sense, but I don't think that the term itself should be gotten rid of, as much as maybe people should concentrate on what they could possibly do to avert what it is they think is going to happen, rather than just keep preaching to everyone, hey, we're all dead, and it's because your father fucked you by having a gas guzzling SUV. You know, well, thanks for letting me know that the world's fucked and that there's nothing we can do and the sky is falling. But rather than concentrate on the end of humanity, I would concentrate on what we can do to make life better now, and maybe in whatever future we do have, and possibly try to extend that future. It bothers me a lot that my whole life I've been in close proximity to people who seem to worship the end of the world coming as a good thing. The end of days, you know, Armageddon and whatnot. And it's weird, because if I call them death worshippers and sadists who look forward to the pain and punishment of the entire planet, they don't see it that way. They're like, oh no, this is a blessing coming. That's the part, that's where the end of humanity is, that I would really want to see quelled as a concept. I would like those people to be more human and care about humanity more than wishing the destruction of the world upon the earth. So I think most people who read this article, given that it is in English, won't even realize that most of their neighbors have this sort of fantasy that we're in the end times and the tribulation's about to happen, and they're not going to apply it the same way that I am when I read number 10. So, yeah. But I have seen some series on TV that were actually pretty enjoyable that talked about the end of humanity, like what would happen to a city if nature just retook it because everyone left overnight and just, nature started crawling back in. How long would it take for a city to completely revert back to how it looked before man encroached upon that land? That was pretty interesting. And there's places like around Chernobyl where you can actually see, in real time, over the years, people have taken pictures of how nature took back the land that was abandoned. So those things are interesting to me, to explore it in that sense. But yeah, it's the point where people keep on thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it and then coming to terms with it in a very unnatural, inhuman, and unbiological imperative way that really bother me. So, thanks for the article to look at, Scotty. Link in the description box, everybody else who wants to read the article. And until next time, and when I feel like rambling ever again, which happens a lot.